Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Insider's View. Today we have Claudia from Google, and I think this is going to be a great episode. So, Claudia, can you just give us a quick introduction?
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia, and I'm a customer success manager at Google based in Montreal. When I started at Google 3 years ago, I started in more of a advertising business role, and now I'm more in the marketing technology space, helping our customers solve all of their data challenges.
Awesome. So, we're really excited to have you here today, Claudia. It's going to be a great conversation. Claudia and I actually met in Toronto during a meet and greet with Google and the Masters of Analytics at McGill. So we know what's in store right now for us. So, the quick question, Claudia, is that we just talked about was
Yeah.
if I, you know, if you're if I take away your salary, I take away your savings, I take away your connections and your technical skill because you're from Google, so it's a little bit easier. Okay. And of course, and then we make you 25 years old again. How would you find a job in today's market during COVID-19? I think that would be a great start to see how we can give it to the students.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and thanks for asking it a week ago. So I had a chance to think about it and kind of crowdsource the response. I asked a bunch of managers at Google, and I asked a bunch of our customers. So we work across, the top customers in Canada, whether it's in telcos, retail, um, all the various industries, and kind of got a sense of what the trends were in the response. So I came up with three main points, and I would say for me personally, I'll talk about me personally, and then I'll go into the points that I recommend. But if I was to start over from scratch, I think the most important thing is to be scrappy and to be eager and curious, right? So one of the points that you mentioned in one of our conversations is going after an industry that you might not have considered. So that's something that I would personally do. I would go after different opportunities, and one person can lead you to another.
Yep.
And being scrappy, I think, is super important, and to always have a problem solving mindset. So like, instead of saying what job can I get, it's more what problems can I solve for, how can I help this company or this customer, or so really putting yourself in a problem solving mindset would be my personal approach. And it kind of fits into the 3 points that I've crowdsourced for you today.
So,
Would you like me to go through
I was going to
that?
say, can I ask a quick question before we continue, though? Because
Yeah, go ahead.
that's a great point. So I just need to go. So, if I was a young professional, how would I get what kind of pain points that some people have? Like, what would be your angle on hitting that? Because I think that's a
So
great opportunity. So,
I think there's different ways that you can try to get a good sense of what challenges businesses are facing. So a lot of our approaches, especially, we work as, in client servicing. So
okay.
a lot of times it's just in casual conversations, right? You want to be able to, if you talk to somebody that works for the company or on the team, I think it's really important to let them speak and to let them kind of talk about, what's happening in their business. And through fluid conversations, you can kind of get a sense of, oh, here are my, every CMO or every C-level knows what they need to achieve in the year. They hear it every day. They have to report on it on a weekly basis. So trying to get a sense of what challenges they're facing is something that keeps them up at night, right? So it's something that within a casual conversation, it'll easily come up. So I would say that, having discussions, being curious and asking, okay, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in your business today, and taking the angle of really like helpfulness is something that Google has been really looking towards, especially in COVID-19. We really want to be helpful for our customers. So if you really take the approach of, I just want to listen, I want to hear you out, and I want to see if there's any new ideas that I can bring to the table. So I would say in casual conversations, and there's obviously, research that you can find online on the business and in various, with various sources. I mean, Google, we're a search company, so just by looking at intent signals online, we can see what's on people's minds. But always getting information at the source in casual conversations is, I think, a really good way to get that.
Awesome. Thank you for going. So now let's go to the three steps they had. But thank you for elaborating.
Yeah. So I would say the first point that a lot of people mentioned to me that might be, it might seem really simple, but it's really important, is to really put yourself out there and to reach out to people that have a job that you're interested in. A lot of people might seem scared to reach out to people, to professionals on LinkedIn, but people want to help more than you think, right? So if you just reach out to them and say, hey, like your job is super interesting. Do you have 15-20 minutes for like a virtual coffee chat so I can hear more about what you're doing? People love to talk about themselves. So this is a really, I have rarely had a no for an answer when I've asked somebody, for a quick coffee in person, but now it's not possible. So it'd be more of like a virtual coffee. I think that's super important. And then when you speak to them, you need to voice and kind of channel, this is what I'm interested in. It seems to be aligned. And if you kind of put it out there, what you're looking for, then people will start rallying and helping you. If it's not me that has a job for you in my company, well, I know, 5 different people within my network that could be helpful. So I think in the case of COVID-19, where it's more difficult to go to networking events, if you make the right connections, they will reach out to their networks, that they have built for the past 10, 15 years, depending on their level of experience to guide you through that. So I would say
Right.
most people are really helpful.
Which relates to kind of what you were saying in the first time, where if you come in trying to help them, they'll be much more involved to try to help you at the same time, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So number two.
Yeah. Number 2 is to be curious, open-minded, and learn in every opportunity. So
Okay.
there's this sense of, wanting to find the perfect opportunity or the perfect job. And, we have to look at all the different opportunities, especially, where opportunities may be scarce in the industry that you were targeting initially. But, going after different opportunities and looking beyond the industries that you might find something that's out of your comfort zone that's super interesting. And one of the things that my manager told me, which was a really good tip when I started my career off at Google, is that not every move has to be upwards, right? Lateral moves are actually even more enriching. So going after opportunities that might give you a different perspective on a problem, still in the mind of problem solving, right? You might have looked at a problem from a certain angle, and if you change teams or you make a lateral move to an opportunity, you'll have a different perspective on that same problem, and it'll help you be more well-rounded. So I think exploring opportunities that allow you to continue learning, all while gaining different experiences, is super interesting and important. And at Google, we really value the ongoing learning, continuing to keep your skill sets, to keep up leveled, and to challenge yourself to think outside the box in different roles, but not necessarily. It doesn't always have to be an upward trajectory.
Okay. So I actually had a question because yesterday we actually did a huge event for McGill's alumni. It was 500 students. And one of the questions was, what do you guys think of us going downwards to a job that's a little bit beneath the normal university level during COVID-19? And how would we use that to storytell something to get higher later on? Would would you feel comfortable answering something like that that we were asked
Yeah.
yesterday?
Yeah, well, so I work in a company where the culture is very like scrappy, pull your sleeves up, like be
Yeah.
helpful. So I would say in that case, if the role that you're taking on is an opportunity for you to contribute to something, there's nothing, I wouldn't consider any role like beneath, right? So
Okay.
there is definitely ways that you can learn in that role, and there's always a different perspective. I mean, most managers started from the bottom, right? So if you can get experience on the, in the field, it'll definitely help you to contribute to when you have more of a strategic or high level role or management role. You'll be able to understand all different perspectives. So I would definitely encourage people to take on roles that they might not have considered. Whether the simple example of working in a call center. If you're working in a call center and you're taking calls, and then you become a manager in that same company, you'll be able to understand what the customers are asking for,
Yeah.
what are the pain points. So you'll really get a good sense of what the challenges are, and you can contribute more than you think in those kind of roles. So I would
Awesome. I was going to
encourage
say thank
people
you
to
for
take
even
that.
giving an example, because that's something that we were kind of saying yesterday, and I really thank you for answering that honestly. So thank you. So number three, I think I like where this is going though. I like the cadence too.
I was, yeah, and still in the second one, I think
Oh,
one of
sorry.
the I had like a sub point in the second one, but it was really the point of asking a lot of questions when you're meeting with potential employers. So in the environment where in-person interactions are not really possible, and putting yourself in the mindset of the managers or the various companies that you're potentially applying to, they're probably in a stressful situation. They're probably in a situation that they've never been in before, and they're dealing with a lot of complexity. So asking a lot of questions like, what challenges are you facing? How can I help? Um, you know, how can I help your team? Really like trying to narrow down like what is keeping them up at night and how can I align myself. As soon as you find a problem that this person is facing that you have experience or that you can help solve for, it makes the conversation very valuable. So if
Right.
they say, I'm having problem, I'm not hitting my acquisition targets, and you have experience in precision marketing, you can say, oh well, maybe we can talk through some of the different tactics, and if I'm part of your team, there's definitely a conversation that we can have, and I really think I can contribute to this challenge that you're facing. That makes for a really good conversation.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I love how even like there's even precision details. So it's great. So I'm trying to think of a way to
Trying to
ask that. Like
use
I don't have an example to ask right now. Thanks, Claudia. You just ruined the framework.
And then the third point was really showcasing your experience. So this is especially for roles that are technical. So
Yep.
let's use like the masters in management analytics, for example. A lot of the managers and data scientists that I spoke to said that especially when you're applying to different roles, it's important that you showcase once again what problems you've solved, what you've contributed to. So posting stuff, publishing your work on things like GitHub and Kaggle are
Yep.
really some ways to put yourself out there. And even if it's not in like a work related environment, you can work with public data sets, and there's still a way to publish work without like by working, let's call it, in a stealing environment, so that you're not working with real data, but you can still show the work that you're doing. And it's also relevant for business students, because showcasing your work is important no matter what in your experience. So positioning it as a business student, it's more positioning it as in problem statements. So what problems am I solving? And in a technical role, it's showing some of the solution architecture that you've done. And at Google, crowdsourcing and contributing to something that's greater than yourself is a value that's extremely important. So hiring somebody that has contributed to GitHub and things like that is really something that they look at.
Right. And I was going to even just ask you, so what do you think are some examples, maybe a business student who's not technical, who can go and Git or Kaggle, they can do? So, you know, I was thinking of maybe some opportunities, maybe like the oil price being so low, or,
Yeah.
even just, looking at how, the job market is fluctuating. How would they kind of show what they're learning and what they can do in today's market, because they don't have a GitHub repository or a Kaggle?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I would say that anything related to bringing insights, right? Like you can
Yeah.
bring an insight by building the backend system, and you can also bring insight by drawing conclusions from a data set that you're looking at. So maybe you're not publishing something, but definitely, all the C-level executives that we work with have some form of executive dashboard that they look at every day.
Right.
And so if you take a problem and you can show that you have a way to showcase an insight, that's also a way to show that you're able to understand data, and you're also able to bring things at a high level and make it interesting for the people that you're working with. So I would say it's easy-ish as a business student to create a dashboard and say, hey, I looked at this problem currently. I mean, there's so many problems out there right now. So
Right.
it could be related to the economy. It could be related to, let's just take, for example, like the restaurant business in Montreal. I'm sure there's like different ways that, that you can help draw insights into the trends and what people are searching for. Will people go back fully to restaurants, et cetera? So
Yeah,
I
you
think
could
there's
just probably look at traffic data right now, probably on Google. There's an
exactly.
API for sure for that.
Yeah. So there's different ways that you can still showcase the experience that you have without being a highly technical professional.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, I was going to say, if you can just break it down to one, two, three, if you want. If you want to do it quickly, you could. But I think we want to just conclude that you want to be scrappy, you want to ask
Yeah.
questions and make sure we have value, and you as want to give something of value, material value, let's say, as either as a presentation, a dashboard, or an actual repository. I think that was,
Yeah.
so that's what you were looking at to give to the students. So I want to just thank you so much for your time, Claudia. It's always a pleasure whenever you speak. It's such good feedback, and I think a lot of the young professionals and students really need that right now. So I want to thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
Yeah, we'll put your information on LinkedIn during the post. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Claudia. Bye.
All right. Talk to you soon.